Howdy everyone in YouTube land, it's your boy Tickle the Pickle back again with another episode of Tribal Time. The series where we spin this lovely wheel right here for a type in Magic the Gathering Arena. We then go to Magic the Gathering Arena, go to Historic Brawl, look through the available commanders that support that type, and see which is the best for your commander deck, and we rate them in a little Google Doc sheet I create. Without further ado, let's get straight into it. Alright, let's spin this damn wheel. Come on, who we get today? Elf! Alright, we've got Elf Commander. Okay. Oh, and also quickly I want to mention, if you do want more types in this wheel that you don't see here or you think aren't on here now, please go down into the comments, comment a type you would like to be added, I'll add it to the wheel. Though if I do spin to it, I don't find any commanders for it, it will just be taken off the list. Anyways, let's get into it. Alright, we're back, and I went through all the commanders that support elves on MTG Arena, and that took 30 minutes, so I really hope you do enjoy. And now, I'm ready to rate them. So let's get right into the news! The viewers are like 5, no one's gonna fucking understand that. Starting off in last place, we have Harald, King of Skemfar, I believe that's how you say it. 1, a black and a green for a 3/2 legendary elf warrior with menace, which is cool. Not really a reason to play him, so let's read the card text. When he enters the battlefield, look at the top 5 cards of your library, reveal an elf, warrior, or Tivar card from among them, put it into your hand, put the rest to the bottom of the library, in a random order, and that's it. He doesn't really do much. He enters the battlefield once, looks at the top 5 cards, gets one of those that could possibly actually advance your game plan, and you put it in your hand. If it was a bit expensive and put it onto the battlefield, then this could be a real contender. But unfortunately, all the other elf tribal commanders just get you way more value. Way more value than this. Like, you could put in blink spells, but unless the enters the battlefield effect is fucking bonkers, it's not worth it. Like, for example, Atraxa Grand Unifier. That is a card that is worth blinking over and over. This is really not. Getting you 1 card per blink, whereas Atraxa could get you like 1,000,000 cards per blink. It's not the fact that Atraxa is a better tribal commander, it's just to show what Skemfar should be when it comes to something you want to blink in constantly, and this is not it. Plus, it's like, it has the only advantage of, oh, well, it has menace, so it's like a good attacker, and it gives you black, so you have removal. And there's like, I think 3 other cards on this list that do that, while also being infinitely better. On that note, the next card is Abomination of Llanowar in 5th place, which is 1, a green and a black once again, for star attack, star defense, is vigilance and menace, and its power and toughness are equal to the number of elves you control plus the number of elf cards in your graveyard. This is a little iffy. I'm a little iffy on where I put this on the list. This and the next card on the list could interchange based on how I feel at the day at that point. Like, if I'm on period, I might like the other one, you know what I'm saying? It's better than Harald in the fact that it will continuously become a stronger and stronger threat based on you advancing your game plan with the elves, therefore making it a bit more of a tribal commander. But the problem with this is it really doesn't support elves that much. I mean, elves support it, but it doesn't support elves. This is more of a one-sided relationship here. However, I can't say it's not a good card. It's in Gruul colors, I believe that's the correct color word. I forget them half the time. But that means it has access to truly some of the best creature mill in the game, like Old Stickfingers, my personal favorite commander, and also here, the best card ever in your deck. Plus it's in black, so it gives you access to tutors, which was an advantage of this guy, but also he's shit compared to this, because this is infinitely better. If you don't know what Old Stickfingers does, it's just a black and a green plus X, and it mills creatures from your deck to the graveyard equals X. Not just mills cards, but it'll look through your deck to get that many creatures. I mean, you can build this thing up pretty fast. Plus, there's a lot of really good elves that you might want to revive, so you could build like a mill resurrection deck. I think that'd be really cool, or forget the term resurrection or whatever. A reanimator deck, my bad. Mill reanimator deck could be really cool for elves. Like, there are definitely better options for elf tribal, but if you really want to build with this isn't a bad option at all. This is actually a pretty good option, especially considering it has vigilance and menace, meaning that not only will your opponent have to sacrifice 2 things just to block against its giant power, but also it's not going to be useless on your turn after it attacks. It can still block, and also there's some cards that like equip this to a creature, then it can tap equal to its power or whatever. I don't think those are an MTG arena, but if they are, that's a thing you can do. You just have to try and find them. They're kind of difficult to find. Now, in next place, the card that I can interchange with this at any point, based on how I'm feeling, is Merwin the Nurturer. Now, this is the one I see most used as an elf commander, and I think that needs to stop, because there are better elf commanders you can do for less mana. This is Merwin the Nurturer, 2 and a green for a 1/1. Whenever another elf enters the battlefield, put a +1/+1 counter on it, and you can add green equal to its power by tapping it. This commander suffers specifically from being a little bit slow. Once you get started and once you get set up, this thing is really good, but the problem is you want it out early so you can increase its +1/+1 counter so it can tap for more, but also, if you do that, it's likely to get removed pretty early, so you spend more time trying to set it up again. Commanders like that can be super annoying, and for a damn good reason. The tapping to add a bunch of green is really good, but it takes a while to get that all set up. So this card is almost better as an Elf Voltron deck, which is good. It's good. Elf Voltron, boost up Merwin's power, and then it taps for a bunch, you play a big, juicy creature. However, it seems to suffer from the same fate as good old Herald here, and the fact that elves are doing a lot of support here, but it's not really supporting the elves, which is odd considering it's, flavor text would describe it as supporting the elves, but I don't know. Maybe it's like a real-life military leader. Just don't give a shit. But on a serious note, realistically, the next 3 commanders just do more. They just do more for elves themselves and supporting them, and end up with better payoffs overall. Speaking of the next thing, in 3rd place we have Tavar the Bellicose. Tavar the Bellicose is a 2, 1 black, 1 green, 5/4, pretty good stats, and whenever one or more elves you control attack, they gain Death Touch till end of turn. That's pretty good, makes your mana dorks actually deadly, but it's the next line of text that makes me put it this high. Each creature you control has, whenever a mana ability of this creature resolves, put a number of +1/+1 counters on it equal to the amount of mana this creature produced. For those who don't know, a mana ability is any ability that says, like, add mana. That's it. If it adds mana, it's a mana ability. Like, for example, the 5 bajillion elves that say, tap, add green. Or perhaps the card that says this costs 3 green. Tap, add 3 green. So yeah, this ramps up your elves into really big motherfuckers, and genuinely does weightlifting. This is the first one that genuinely supports elves and also holds itself up. This is a commander you can play early game if you want to start setting up a bunch immediately, or you can play later game when you already have all your elves, tap them all, boost them up immediately, and then just fucking go in like a madman. Hey guys, Editing Tingle here. I want to stress that Tavar the Bellicose has a little line of text that I wasn't paying attention to that much, which is this ability triggers only once each turn at the very end, which kinda renders what I was saying really fucking stupid, because you can't play him late game and then immediately bump up all your elves. You still need to wait to do it. This doesn't change his place on the list. I still think he's really good and way better than the other last 3 that we were doing. But I do want to add that proper clarification in the fact that he's not as good as I thought. He's still good, but he's not nearly as good. It does have some problems, like for one, as much as I praise the second ability, some of them only tap for 1 mana, meaning it can be slow to build them up unless you have a bunch of ways to untap your creatures, which usually cost mana, so they don't really pay themselves back very well. still very worth, in my opinion, boosting up your elves. And I don't really have much else to say besides this. It's just really solid. Doesn't really have a lot of downsides to it. I could say it's easily removable, but at the same time, I can't really make that criticism about this. I can make the criticism about Merowyn mainly because of the fact that if you remove her, that she becomes useless because you have to play her again, and then you have to spend all the time setting her up again. Whereas with Tavar, the only thing that is set up is your other creatures. He is not affected by this because he doesn't tap for mana. So you play him, and your other creatures will still have the +1/+1 counters regardless if he goes away or not. It'll be a little bit of an inconvenience, but considering the fact that all your creatures tap for mana, you're just gonna play him again by tapping those creatures. So you have enough mana to cast him like always, and it's great. He doesn't really have a huge downside, but it, like, the other elf commanders here just have better upsides. He's not bad, he's really solid, it's just the others are really fucking good, the other two. Which, speaking of which, let's get into those. In second place we have Tavar Kel, the original. This guy is 2 and 2 green for a 3 loyalty planeswalker, so 4 for 3, not really that great. But his ability, elves you control have tap, add black. Meaning we're once again in the Gruul colors, baby. For +1, put a +1/+1 counter up to 1 target elf, untap it, it gains Death Touch until end of turn. So you tap an elf for mana, immediately untap it, use that mana again. Holy shit, that's good. You can then pay 0 to create a 1/1 green elf warrior creature token, so you can put more elves on board. Really not going to be doing that much though, because you want to keep plussing to get its -6. You can then emblem with whenever you cast an elf spell, it gains haste until end of turn, you draw 2 cards. So you cast an elf spell that taps for mana, it gains haste, so you can immediately tap it, and then you draw 2. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. So basically, this gives you a ton of resources, and it's like a late game deck, except for when you consider the fact that green has the best proliferate tools in the entire game. Black is in second place, but green is ahead of them by a long shot. Have you seen the amount of shit green can do with proliferation? I mean, it's fucking ridiculous. So you play an elf proliferate deck, use your elves, tap for a bunch of mana, and fucking... You get what I'm talking about. I have a seizure talking about it, apparently. But what I mean is, you could swarm the board with elves with this, because you're constantly drawing, with its -6 ability, or at least you're constantly drawing, you're constantly tapping for mana, you can untap them, get more mana. It's fucking ridiculous. And once again, you have the best proliferating ability in the entire game in this deck. Black and green, the best ones. And if it's not the best ones, apparently I've been living under a rock, because I don't think I see any other decks besides green, black, and blue proliferate. I don't really see white doing that much, now do I? But also, white sucks unless you're playing a token deck, in which case you can kill yourself, frankly. I'm joking. On a serious note, Tavar Kel is another... 2 of Tavar Kels I've said this about already, that are good, really fucking solid. But the last one on this list is just... It just has so much more potential to fuck your opponent directly in the ass. This doesn't really have a huge downside, except for the fact that it's 4 for a 3 loyalty, which isn't really that good. But also you're playing elves, so you're playing a million ways to get it out early with tap abilities. So I don't know why I'm complaining about that realistically. It's not really a big deal. However, in first place, drumroll please. It's Ferally Skyshroud Partisan. If you never heard of this card, wouldn't be surprised because it's an MTG Arena exclusive, and that's why I like to do it on MTG Arena. 1 and 2 green, so it's only in green. We don't get to play Gruul, unfortunately. However, it's 3 for a 4 loyalty planeswalker. It is the +1 ability of our main man Tavar Kel, which is you untap an elf. However, that elf and a random elf in your hand perpetually get +1/+1. Perpetually, meaning if it comes back, it still has it. This is a far cry from put a +1/+1 counter on tap and it gains Death Touch. Instead, you boost 2 elves at the same time. You can also -1 it to seek an elf card. If you don't know what seek is, it's an MTG Arena exclusive keyword. That means just randomly get one of those cards from your deck. Just randomly get an elf card from your deck. Just seek an elf card, it'll pick a random elf card in your deck. Boop! You got it now. It's just yours. Just get it. So yeah. Its -6 ability, Conjure a Regal Force on the battlefield. Conjure just means you, like, put that card on the battlefield outside of the game. Doesn't have to be in your deck. And Regal Force says, like, when it comes into play, draw a card equal to the number of creatures you control. We don't really care about that. We care about the +1 and -1 ability. So you're constantly grabbing elf cards. You're drawing a card for turn, and you're seeking elf cards constantly. Also, you untap elves constantly, which allows you to boost up your elves with the +1/+1, and also get mana to immediately cast those elves. I mean, the payoff here is not as good as Tavar Cal, which will constantly draw you cards, but still. Basically, the fact that it can give you a constant supply of elves, meaning you can get some goddamn good elf payoffs pretty quickly. Not only that, but also the ability to untap your elves and make them stronger is a bit better than untap your elves, make one of them stronger, and make that one get Death Touch still undeterred. This is just a little bit better. Also, if you really care about elves having Death Touch, play the other Tavar. As well as much as we don't really care about the Regal Force thing, it's a thing you can do. I mean, it allows you to draw a bunch. But also I find that doing that will often probably cause you to overdraw. I mean, I haven't played the card, because I'm not crafting all the fucking shit for this, alright? Nor am I going out and spending all the money on these for commander decks. Even the cheapest commander deck costs like fucking, what, $100? And I'm including lands, because I'm not going to do that shit where everyone, like, doesn't include lands in the price. Which is so vehemently fucking stupid to me. I'll go over that probably in another video, but just know that including lands, most commander decks are gonna hit you with $100, or like at least $70, which is still a lot for the average person. Just overall, the best thing you can be doing with elves, because it supports elves a lot. It pretty much doesn't even help itself out, it just boosts elves upon elves upon elves upon elves upon elves upon elves upon elves, which is a sign of a really good tribal commander. And also, 3 mana is fucking ridiculous. Plus, I forgot to mention this for the other Planeswalkers, but just remember, it goes for Tavar Cal as well. The fact that it's a Planeswalker means it dodges quite a bit of removal, because a lot of removal is like, destroy target creature, or destroy target enchantment. You don't see a lot of destroy permanent, or destroy Planeswalker. I mean, you're seeing that more now, but it's still a little bit rarer. So, it's more likely that you get to keep this thing. Anyways, that'll be all for today's Tribal Time. I hope you guys did enjoy it. Hit that like and subscribe if you did, because I'm going to be doing more of these in the future, and I hope to see you later. Bye.
I don't get what I want, I get what I need. Every single day I'm heading off to my dream, and I get everything that I damn well please. I don't give a damn if you all listening to me, cause I run it. I'm the only one that really want it, I'm the only one that's really on it. I'm just being honest, I'm just doing everything I promise, cause I want it bad enough that I'ma make it as an artist.